watching the It's Her Time podcast with Cody and Jess. Welcome back to the It's Her Time podcast. Today, we are going to talk about how to recover from a hysterectomy. Now, your doctor brought up a hysterectomy, and as soon as you left the exam room, I'm sure you had just questions churning. What exactly is a hysterectomy, and how long does it take to recover from a hysterectomy? How is a hysterectomy performed, and will I feel the same after I heal? It all feels, I know, a little overwhelming. In this episode, I'm going to walk us through exactly what a hysterectomy is, why you may need one, types of surgeries, possible complications, and alternatives to surgery, and my best tips to recovering from a hysterectomy. But before we go into this episode, let's join Jess for a Mixhers Girl Say. For our Mixhers Girl Say, we wanted to talk a little bit because I know we talk a lot about products and things like that, and it's so fun to talk about these products. But another huge part of what we feel passionate about is our Mixhers community. It's so important. And so I wanted Jess to share kind of why that is, because I know people ask us all the time, like, why do you put so much focus and energy into that? And does it matter or not? Okay.
Yeah, we've even had comments like, from a business standpoint of why is Mixhers spending so much money to nurture your community? And for us, it's absolutely a no-brainer. Right. It is an area that Mixhers will continue to spend our time, energy, efforts. It'll remain a passion forever because Cody and I are incredibly, we hold friendships near and dear to our hearts. And we know that because of good friendships, we've been able to endure a lot in our lives. We've been able to laugh with friends, enjoy great vacations and time with friends. Also, friendships, good friendships are the ones that will get you through really challenging times as you endure some things that it's a lot harder to go through on your own. And so something that was so interesting is that through Mixhers, we have taken a lot of polls about our community and what women are needing in their everyday life. And this is outside of what their needs are from a product standpoint. We're asking women, what is lacking in your life? What are you needing? How can Mixhers best support you? Over 70% of women reply mentioning that they don't feel that they even have one friend. They don't have a single person that they could call in a time of need. They don't have a single friend to call to go out to lunch with. They don't have a single friend to call and meet up at the park for a play date with kids. That literally breaks our hearts because we know the power of connection. Cody is my best friend. We have best friends here at Mixhers behind the team, and we're grateful for the friendships that we have in our own personal lives. And so for us, we want for women to be able to come within Mixhers, feel included, feel that the brand is actually a friend to you. We are friends to you. Our team can be friends to you. And the reason why we host community events or host platforms online for community and for women to interact with one another is because we want to foster friendship. What has happened time and time again when women are brave enough to attend a Mixhers event, we always put out the invite and say, if you don't have anyone to come with, come alone, and we can almost guarantee that you'll leave with a friend. Look for a Mixhers team member in pink. And we love that women are brave enough. And it takes courage to show up to something alone. And something that is so fulfilling for us to witness is that women come alone and often leave in groups. And I think it's something that for us, we recognize that it can be hard to be the person that's putting yourself out there, admitting that you don't feel that you have any friends. It can feel like you're embarrassed or don't know where to start or not sure how to approach someone. And so for us, it's really great for us to be able to provide that the events and interactions through Mixhers. And we think that women's health is actually completely benefited through having positive, healthy friendships.
Absolutely, especially for women. I think it's important for everyone to have good friends and feel like they've got a community supporting them. But as far as our hormone health is concerned, Absolutely. One of the hugest reasons that we provide these opportunities for community to connect to each other is because it directly is going to impact our hormone health positively.
Mhm.
So there's so much more. So when we get asked, why do you put on these parties and why do you do all of this stuff? Why do you care? Why do you do this podcast? Why do you have a Mixhers Girls, community Mixhers Girls on our website? You can go and join for free. Why do you do all of this? Because it is a lot of extra work and it is above and beyond what we are normally doing every day with just putting our products out there. It's because we know that we want to support women as a whole, their whole health. We want to address hormone imbalance from every aspect, and community is a huge piece of that puzzle, and it's some of the best medicine that we can give ourselves.
Now we'll get into the episode. Mixhers is a company made for women by women. Each of our products have been carefully and lovingly crafted to support you in all stages of your life, providing you with the optimal health you deserve. Each ingredient we handpick is 100% all natural, backed by science, and chosen specifically to better your life physically, mentally, and hormonally. Each product empowers your body to take charge of its monthly hormonal shift and flows, empowering you to live life to the fullest. Let Mixhers take care of your needs from sunup to sundown, and you take care of the rest. Check us out at mixhers.com, Mixhers.
All right, let's first talk about what is a hysterectomy. Now, a hysterectomy is a surgery that removes a woman's uterus. There are many different reasons why women turn to surgical removal of their uterus, depending on the goals of the surgery. There are various ways doctors perform the procedure, and sometimes other organs are also removed along with the uterus during surgery. These can include the ovaries, the fallopian tubes, and the cervix as well. A hysterectomy is the second most common surgical procedure, not comical, a common surgical procedure that women undergo in the United States. The CDC estimates that almost 32% of women over the age of 50 have had a hysterectomy. So why does a woman have to have a hysterectomy? Well, there are several reasons why your doctor may recommend a hysterectomy surgery. Some of the more common reasons that he might make this a suggestion is that you might have things like uterine fibroids, endometriosis, uterine prolapse, cancer, complications during childbirth, infections that aren't healing, uterine hypoplasia, and heavy menstrual bleeding. So, let's talk about what are the types of hysterectomy surgeries, because guess what? There are also many different types. Now, depending on the condition that you're facing, along with lots of other factors, your doctor may suggest one of several different types of surgical options. Now, the first one we're going to talk about is called a total hysterectomy. A total hysterectomy is a surgery that removes the uterus and the cervix. There's also a subtotal hysterectomy, also known as a supracervical hysterectomy. And this is where the surgeon removes the uterus, but the cervix is left intact. There's also what's known as a radical hysterectomy. When a surgeon performs a radical hysterectomy, then she removes the uterus along with the cervix, part of the vagina, the ovaries, the fallopian tubes, and the tissues on the sides of the uterus. There's also what's known as an oophorectomy with hysterectomy. Now, an oophorectomy is a procedure to remove either one or both of the ovaries. Now, this procedure often occurs alongside a hysterectomy. Also, there's a salpingo oophorectomy that's with a hysterectomy. Salpingo oophorectomy refers to surgery to remove the ovaries and the fallopian tubes, which can also occur alongside a hysterectomy. So that's a lot. There's a lot of options, as you can see. Now, how is a hysterectomy surgery performed? Now, hysterectomy surgery is considered major surgery. And I think it's because it's so common, we don't always realize that it is major surgery. Depending on the type of hysterectomy you're having, the surgeon has a few ways that they can perform this procedure. Now, the kind that used to be done a lot is an abdominal hysterectomy. It's the most invasive of all the surgical options for hysterectomy. This surgery involves an incision in the lower abdomen and the removal of the uterus through that incision. Nowadays, it's a little more common to do what's known as a vaginal hysterectomy. For a vaginal hysterectomy, the doctor removes the uterus through the vagina. This procedure is generally considered less invasive and has a shorter and easier recovery than the abdominal surgery. There's also what's known as laparoscopic or robotic hysterectomy, and this is what one of my friends just had. For a laparoscopic or robotic hysterectomy, the doctor makes a small incision so that she can insert a camera into the abdomen to guide the surgery along. The uterus is then removed through the vagina. Now, you might be asking, can I have a hysterectomy by choice? If you are of legal age to consent to this procedure, then you can technically choose to have a hysterectomy. Of course, it's your body. However, a doctor will likely counsel you to strongly consider other options if you are still of childbearing years. Once you have a hysterectomy, there's no going back. So you won't be able to become pregnant. It's ultimately, though, it's your choice to proceed, but you should have all of the information that you need before you make the right decision for you. Okay, now let's get into hysterectomy recovery tips. All right, like I said, hysterectomy is a major surgery, regardless of which procedure you have. So the most important thing to remember is to take it slow. Don't try to rush back to your normal activities before you're ready. So I'm going to give you girls a little list for creating the smoothest recovery possible from a hysterectomy. All right, first thing to say is I want you to be gentle with yourself. Now is the time to be kind to yourself. There's nothing wrong with asking for help and being a little bit pampered at this time. Line up help in advance for any of your work obligations, your childcare, or your housework. Expect to be modifying your routine for 3 to 8 weeks, depending on the type of surgery and if there were complications. You can get back to doing all the things soon enough, but just for now, just get some rest and take really good care of yourself. The second tip I have is to follow your doctor's instructions. Now, this totally seems obvious, I know, but in case it isn't, it's really important that you follow those discharge instructions. Your doctor is trained to perform these procedures and ensure that you recover well. Now is not the time to just go rogue. And if something does come up, don't hesitate to call your doctor and express your concerns. Now, the third thing that I think is super helpful is to consider increasing your vitamin C, your vitamin A, and zinc. Maybe you've heard me talk about how important these vitamins are for health before. It sounds pretty familiar, right? Well, that's because they are, especially when it comes to healing. Maintaining optimal levels of these superstar nutrients can mean a faster recovery since vitamin C can help the immune system protect against infection and improves wound healing. And then zinc supports connective tissue and vitamin A supports healthy cell growth. While it's crucial to get enough vitamins and minerals every day after surgery, it's absolutely essential. So consider taking a high quality multivitamin like Her Multi that contains all of these important nutrients. Like I said, like Her Multi. We made sure we gave you plenty of each of these incredible ingredients. We also have Her Guard that is also high in zinc and vitamin C. Okay, fourth tip is to support your adrenal glands. Now, your ovaries, by the way, are not the only source of your sex hormones in the body. And I know we talk about this a lot, but I just like to remind you, your adrenal glands, your fat cells, and other cells are still producing hormones. So it's so important that it's as important and maybe even more important than ever to help out those little adrenal glands, which are these little walnut-sized glands that sit on top of our kidneys. Some of the most important things you can do for your adrenals can also be the most difficult for some of us girls, like getting lots of rest, getting plenty of rest, starting at a sensible early-ish time. I usually say at least before 10 p.m. And you should sleep in a completely dark room. And then first thing in the morning, you want to get some sunshine in your eyes and keep getting sunshine throughout the day. You need to cut out stress from your life anywhere you possibly can. And again, my favorite is to start trying to meditate and do that more often. Your adrenal glands also respond well to herbal supplements and vitamins, especially those B vitamins and adaptogens like ashwagandha. I highly recommend using Her Time Daily for adrenal support, as well as Her Multi to assure you are getting what you need of these key nutrients. Now, my fifth tip is to try hormone balancing herbs. Certain herbal supplements like black cohosh, guacrua root, maca, all of these help to relieve symptoms brought about by the drop in hormone levels due to having a hysterectomy. These are the three main active ingredients that are found in Her Thrive. Now, since your ovaries aren't providing the hormonal surges that they once were after you've had a full oophorectomy, then supplementation can help fill in the gaps. It makes a big difference. So, tip number 6, consider bioidentical hormones for hysterectomy. Now, the younger you are when you have a hysterectomy, the more important it is to consider bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, especially after your surgery, because the sudden disappearance of all of that plentiful, amounts of reproductive hormones can put you at risk for things like heart disease and osteoporosis and anxiety and depression. And hormone replacement therapy can help to mitigate all of the risks that are associated with it. Now, a licensed healthcare provider that specializes in hormones can help you understand if this is the best thing for you. I would have you consider testing and then evaluating the need for replacing your estrogen, your progesterone, and your DHEA. Hysterectomy recovery setbacks are something that you need to be considering as well, because hysterectomy is a very serious surgery and it's common to experience some bumps in the road to recovery afterward. The good news is that these symptoms are likely to be just temporary and won't last forever. So with the tips that I'm sharing with you today, I hope that you will also talk to your doctor, and you should be able to manage and recover, and not deal with a lot of these issues that I just mentioned if we're just doing everything we can to support your body. Now, there is pain after a hysterectomy. I mean, that is probably as obvious as can be. You're probably, in fact, going to be in quite a bit of pain after surgery. If you've never had surgery before, a lot of women are surprised at exactly how painful this surgery can be. So take your doctor's advice here and don't try to be a hero. This is something that I struggle with all the time. No one gets a badge of honor for skipping their pain medications. I know I don't like taking pain medications, so I resist and then I pay for it. All right. And I don't want you girls to make the same mistakes that I've made many times. However, do consider that pain medications can be very constipating, and, that you've just had surgery in this region. A lot of women experience painful urination and bowel movements after hysterectomy. So it's really important to supplement with a product like Her Digest that can help tremendously. Don't forget to drink plenty of water and also, of course, eat a hormone balancing, fiber rich diet. All right. Now, there are some symptoms of low estrogen that you will probably experience after having a hysterectomy. Once your ovaries are gone, estrogen production in your body will decrease. This triggers a myriad of unpleasant symptoms that you've likely heard, perimenopausal and postmenopausal women complain about before. Some of the symptoms that are part of this are vaginal atrophy. Sex becomes a little more painful. Some experience more brain fog or more fatigue. Also, their libido drops a little bit, so they have a loss of interest in sex. Depression, you're a little more likely to experience depression and mood swings, hot flashes, and weight gain. Again, this is why it's so important to keep adrenal function supported. So take your Her Time and Her Thrive and or your bioidentical hormones. You have to help your estrogen levels in any way that you possibly can. So it's also something that I want to mention, because I don't think people talk about this enough, is that it is very common after a hysterectomy. I know my mom has experienced this. I have many girlfriends that experience this, but they experience grief after hysterectomy. Now, many women really need to consider hysterectomy to help create or to correct a medical condition that is causing them pain, or it could be endangering their life. But even with that, after their reproductive organs are removed, so many women experience a feeling of loss for their fertility. So some find themselves contemplating a new chapter in their life that brings a lot of change and that can always trigger emotions as well. It's a big thing that you do need to get prepared in advance for and recognize that it's something that you could be likely to experience. And so get your support crew around you and become aware of this being something that you might need to be dealing with, as well as the recovery and all of that as well. Have this be part of your recovery plan. Now, fluctuating hormones and several weeks of recovery don't exactly help the situation of how we feel after having this huge surgery either. Again, the key here is just to be gentle with yourself. Take time to acknowledge your emotions and don't be afraid to talk to a professional about how you're feeling. So it's a big deal, and we deserve to be able to have as much support around us as possible. Now let's talk about what are the risks of hysterectomy, because sometimes I feel like so many doctors recommend hysterectomy by just saying that would be the only solution. Now, you know me, I'm all about like, let's address the root cause of why you would need a hysterectomy. Let's try some things first, okay? Because there are some risks to hysterectomy. I hope your doctor is talking to you about all of these. Usually women undergo a hysterectomy to help end pain, or it can actually be to save their life. So I'm not against hysterectomies for sure, but sometimes they're just kind of suggested like it was for me because I was experiencing really heavy bleeding, right? So, and it wasn't something that I necessarily needed to do in order to solve that problem. However, this surgery definitely comes with risks. When the ovaries and or the uterus are gone, then your body's hormone profile abruptly shifts, right? So the thing is that these hormones are crucial for our good health. We need these hormones and we need these organs to help support our hormones. Your brain, bones, and heart are just a few of the major systems that rely on a regular influx of hormones to function optimally. Now, while our bodies are designed to diminish these hormones at later stages in life, abruptly stopping them before your body is ready can be really problematic. There's some studies that suggest that even hysterectomies that keep the ovaries intact leave women at a higher risk for heart disease and metabolic conditions. Not only is hysterectomy associated with a higher risk of coronary disease, but it also makes it so we have a higher risk factor for bone loss and fractures later in life. And according to studies by the Mayo Clinic, women who undergo a hysterectomy are also at increased risk for depression and anxiety. This points to a large gap in the research and our understanding of the uterus. Given it is the second most common surgery for women to undergo, you would think we'd have a better understanding of how your uterus interplays with your overall health. So again, I'm always going to give you guys alternatives because I feel like knowledge is power. And if you can understand that there are alternatives to hysterectomy, I think that really empowers each of us. Many doctors have been under the impression that hysterectomy is a routine procedure that has little long-term effects for women. Now that research is showing otherwise, many believe that hysterectomy is performed too often. Many women undergo a hysterectomy to remove fibroids or because they are misguiding in believing it will do away with endometriosis when other less invasive procedures are often able to alleviate these conditions. In fact, in many cases, addressing estrogen dominance and introducing lifestyle changes can help manage fibroids and other conditions like endometriosis. In the case of women who have a hysterectomy to correct prolapse, sometimes pelvic floor physical therapy and exercises can help turn this condition around. Even when cancer is involved, there are often other less radical options for surgical removal of cancerous cells that can leave the uterus and the ovaries intact. So if you haven't explored all of your other options to help manage your particular condition, it may be worth discussing with your doctor to explore other options other than a hysterectomy. And when in doubt, you can always seek a second opinion. You really can thrive, though, after a hysterectomy. If you've had a hysterectomy or are planning to have one, I want you to take heart, okay? With everything that I'm sharing with you, I want you to know that you will get your life back and that you can thrive after the surgery. Please just remember to just be kind to yourself and don't be afraid to utilize all of the approaches to speed your recovery and to help it go as smoothly as possible. I hope that this was a very helpful episode for you, or maybe it will be a helpful episode for a girl in your life that you love, your mom, your sister, your best friend. So please share this episode with any of the girls in your life that you think it could help. Sharing is caring and knowledge is power. And that's what this podcast is all about. I love sharing these kinds of bits of information with you because our bodies are amazing. And if we understand what's going on with our health and we understand what options are out there in order to take the best care of ourselves as possible, when we do face situations like this where we need to decide whether a hysterectomy is right for us or not, we are going to have the information that we need in order to make the best decisions for ourselves. All right, girls, I hope you have a very happy and healthy week this week. And I can't wait to talk again next Tuesday when another new episode drops. Until then, see you and have a great week.